This is Ezekiel 1 and 16. The appearance of the wheels and their work was like unto the color of beryl, and they four had one likeness, and their appearance and their work was as it were a wheel in the middle of a wheel. I like to start off by saying Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Kol Haloyim La Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakak Wadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect that scattered abroad, the Akim and the Akwat that's listening in. Yahweh Raptazalo, willing that the lesson is edifying. It's the brother Shawab Omawan back at you with another lesson. And going into the title, all right, the strangeness of our salvation. Okay. And what I want to get into, all right, is this one video that I ran across. All right, I'm gonna probably play about like 10, 11 minutes of it because it's pretty good video. It's a 28-minute video, but I ain't gonna play it all. I'm gonna play up to the point that I need it. All right. But you know, it goes into basically America causing a fake deception, okay, which, as a matter of fact, let me play this real quick before I continue on. All right, this is, let me just bring it up real quick. All right.
Oh my God, they're making a formation. What the fuck is this, guy? We seen them drop out of a fucking mothership that just flew away, and these things are. And now they're forming shapes. Oh my God, we fucking watched it drop out of the fucking ship. Oh my God. Oh my God, what the fuck is this? I can't make this up, man. Y'all share this shit right now. Share this motherfucking shit, cuz. I can't make this shit up, cuz. Now, I'm currently downtown Denver. I'm in Colorado, cuz. Where they say the airport. Listen, do your research.
All right. So those were chariots of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. Okay. And we see a lot of chariots on a daily basis, you know, showing themselves, because in these last days, the Lord is going to reveal, you know, and not only that, these are signs and warnings of the things to come. All right. When you go into, excuse me, when you go into, let me grab that real quick. This is Second Ezra, the 9th chapter, and verse 5. It says, For like as all that is made in the world has a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. All right. And we're in those we're at the time of the end, man. All right. It says, even so the times also of the highest Yahweh have plain beginnings in wonder and powerful works, endings in effects and signs, you see. And these are signs of the heaven, all right, that the Lord is putting, you know, here on earth to let you know what time frame we're in. You see, as he said in that same chapter in the beginning, measure the time diligently in itself. And when you see part of the signs pass, right, that you shall know that Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai is visiting the earth. Okay. And, you know, one of the biggest things that we see, you know, throughout the whole four corners of the earth is a lot of chariot sightings, what they will call ignorantly UFO sightings. Okay. Now, do we know that the government has technology to also, you know, do their own little tricks and you know, miracles with it? Absolutely. Okay. But see, those that have this truth, you know, they know the difference between the bullshit and the ones that are truly chariots. All right. As it tells you in Matthew, okay, 24. Let's grab that real quick. This is Matthew 24, and it says, where, give me 1 second. I believe it's up more. If it says that, Deceive the very elect. I haven't used that one in a while. Um, I know it's in the 24th chapter. I'm trying to look for it right now. I'm pretty sure I'm passing right by it. Uh, Come on, where's it at? All right, let me just look it up from here. If it were possible to deceive the elect, KJV 24 and 24, that's what it is. All right, so 24 and 24 says in Matthew, it says for there shall arise false hamashiachs and false prophets. All right, and that's a very heavy precept right now, because a lot of false prophets are being spewed out, you see, and the Lord is showing us who are these false prophets. Okay, and you got a lot of false hamashiachs, people that swear they're anointed, because hamashiach just means anointed. All right, but none of these people truly have they're not truly anointed by the oil of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, you see. And it says, and shall show great signs and wonders, and so much that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. Okay, so they will never be able to deceive the elect if it were possible, you see. That's why it says, if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect, but it's impossible to, because we have the word of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, which is the knowledge and wisdom, and it makes it the stability of thy times, you see. So with you having this truth, all right, of the Lord, it also gives you the spirit of discernment to be able to see these things, all right, and decipher when it's literally bullshit and when it's literally of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. Okay, so what gave me the inspiration of this video is the thumbnail that I had on the picture. Okay, which let me grab that picture real quick. Okay, Salakia. That picture was from a restaurant not too long ago. Okay, and I took a picture of it. All right, and it's spiritual, because it was in a restaurant of Issachar. Okay, and Issachar was very heavy into navigating through the stars in the ancient time. Okay, and they were very heavy into building the what do you call it, the pyramids. Okay, so when you walked into this actual restaurant, they had a lot of pyramid drawings, and they had a lot of these right here. Okay, which is a chariot with three Mexicans, basically three Issacharites, getting beamed up, playing their little guitar. All right, and it was very spiritual when I seen it, because here it is, they have these things and don't realize why they have them in their shops, you see, because it's a spiritual thing that we are the true Hebrew Israelites of the Bible. Okay, and back in the ancient time, especially when we was in Egypt and we was building these pyramids for these devils, and every other time that we were in slavery, especially Judah also, they were singing them songs, swing low, sweet chariot. All right, and that's a spiritual thing, because some of them understood it, but a lot of them didn't, because pretty much the so-called white man beat it out of us to the point where we forgot our heritage. As the Lord said, we will be discontinued from our heritage, but it's very spiritual that you'll see this in Issachar's shops, again, because they are one that navigated amongst the stars, okay, in those times. Now there's another picture, all right, this picture right here, all right. I don't know if you guys know about the Illuminati card game. Okay, the Illuminati card game is a game with a bunch of cards that they actually play out those cards in real life. They'll pick a card, and if you want to know about it, just look it up on Google, and you'll have a whole bunch of different cards come up. Okay, and one of them even being the fall of the two towers. Okay, so it was already a card that they had picked out. That's how we know through the spirit that it was, an inside job from America to, knock those things down, because it's in their card game already. And that Illuminati card game, I believe it came out in, I want to say 1995, but I think it was actually earlier than that. All right. It just didn't get published until that time, 1995. And they ended up taking it away from the kid that drew it, because I believe it was a kid that drew it. And then I think, if I'm correct, also they ended up unaliving his ass, because he was bringing out some type of information on it. Okay. But what I wanted to bring out of that card was that they changed this card over the years. Because before I came into this truth around, I remember it was around 2000. I didn't come into this truth till 2019. So I remember around 2009, 2010, I ran into a lot of Illuminati, a lot of Illuminati stuff going through the internet at that time. Because remember, internet really hit big around 2007. So around 2009, 2010, around there, it was at one point where I was doing a lot of researching, okay, on the internet. And a lot of the research that was coming out was a lot of Illuminati stuff, and in the spiritual, because the Lord will show us wickedness, before all this righteousness that we come into, once we come into the light, you see a lot of wickedness in your time before you actually come into the light. Because remember, the Lord is going to have us as judges. We're going to be gods. So if us being gods, we're going to be able to have the knowledge of good and evil. So in order for you to understand righteousness and enjoy righteousness, you have to know a lot of wickedness. You have to see and basically perceive a lot of wickedness through however it is. And one of the ways that I did was through the internet, and I was very into that shit at that one point, always searching. I was fascinated with the shit with the Illuminati, and I used to do a lot of rap music. So, it had me like into it, intrigued. And I found out about all these rappers that they were all into, this Illuminati trend. And, I used to see a lot of, what really drew me in was Rihanna, when she had her album that she had came down and sat on her knee. She put herself on her knees, and she was in a triangle, and she put her arms back with her head down, and it basically formed the Baphomet. And that's how I really got intrigued from that time on. And for hours, and I'll say a good 3 years, I was just lost in the internet with constant Illuminati trends, basically. So I came across this card, you see, but back then, this card was actually called the Final Deception, and they changed it later in the years. All right. And it became called, it says the Church of Middle America. Okay. And the way it looks now, that's not how they had it. They got it now with a bunch of chariots around the church. Okay. Which that's also spiritual at the end of the day, because church goes into a gathering of people, a calling, so those chariots represent going into the church of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, which is the calling of his elect, you see. So at the end of the day, they ended up changing it for whatever reason it was. It was probably because of a lot of information that was being brought out on it. Okay. And, this devil, gets, everybody's pretty much bringing the truth to the light. So once you start bringing certain information out, they'll try to switch around, things that you once saw. It's also called a Mandela effect. They do that with a lot of the things that we're around today. If you look back when we were littler, smaller, Salaki with that word, that's not a word, but when we were younger, things were a certain way, drawn a certain way, a certain type of advertisement to a product, and then all of a sudden it changes. And then when you try to be like, oh, I remember that, this used to be like this, and they'll be like, nah, that was never like that. That's called the Mandela effect. Okay. So, they ended up changing this, and, for whatever reason it was, it says straight, peaceful, and conservative. All right. 3 out of 1 power. And then it says resistance, 4, and that's how the cards are pretty much played. So which leads me to my next point. All right. When it used to be called the final deception, all right, now that I know this truth, I understand why it was called the final deception, because in these last days they have what you call Project Bluebeam. And with Project Bluebeam, they're going to be trying to deceive the masses. All right. One of their agendas is they want to take the actual different types of gods and religions and put them into the sky, and they want to merge them together to make you worship a one world religion, a one God under a Luciferian agenda, basically. A satanic ritual is what they're really trying to get forth with. All right. And me knowing that, all right, now it was crazy that I had stumbled across this video, because this video actually explains that same exact thing. Okay. So before I play this video, let me just grab a preset. All right. And this is this is Zechariah 5:1, and it says, the flying scroll. It says, then I turned and lifted up mine eyes and looked, and behold, the flying roll. And he said unto me, what seest thou? And I answered, I see the flying roll. The length thereof is 20 cubits, and the breadth thereof of 10 cubits. Okay. And that 20 cubits goes into 30 feet long, and the 10 cubits go by 15 feet wide. Right. It says, then said he unto me, this is the curse that goeth forth over the face of the whole earth. For everyone that stealeth shall be cut off as on this side, according to it. And everyone that sweareth, all right, shall be cut off as on this side, according to it. Okay, let me see real quick if I got a water. Yeah. All right, so basically this is going into the curse. This is speaking about the chariots of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, and that's the curse that's going to go upon the whole entire earth. Okay, it's going to be a curse onto the wicked, but it's going to be salvation onto the elect, because the elect is going to be beamed up into those chariots. You see, that's how we're going to be. That's going to be the strangeness of our salvation. All right, which, you know, pertaining to Wisdom of Solomon, the 5th chapter, which I'll get that in a little bit. Okay, but the thing is that these devils is trying to deceive you with, you know, their technologies to make you think that that UFOs, all right, which are really chariots of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, right? They call them unidentified flying objects. We call them IFOs because we know exactly what they are. You see, they're identified to us because we know those are the chariots of the Lord. We know those are angels. Okay, dark-skinned, melanated men that are angels are in those chariots, pertaining to Ezekiel, the 1st chapter. If you read that whole chapter, okay. But here it is. Esau will try to make you feel like you're under attack and an invasion by a bunch of weirdo little green men from Mars, man. Where here it is, these devils have never even touched the actual moon. You know, they have never landed on any of these planets. Okay, don't let them fool you. The word NASA, all right, goes into Nasa in Hebrew, which means to deceive. So they've always been deceiving us with that. You know, nobody ever landed on the moon. Nobody's ever landed on these different planets. Now, do they have the technology to land on these places? Absolutely. They have satellite dishes. You know, they have little, you know, certain types of you know, space products that can pretty much maneuver out in the firmament and land on the moon and take pictures. That's about it. You see, this is how they know what they have, what these things look like. You see, and because they know what it looks like, they can remember. We're in a time where you have Hollywood, man. These people could make, if they could make a movie, make you look like in a movie, like you're landing on these different planets, you know, but then they could deceive you and make you think that they have landed on the moon and on planets. Okay, because the technology they have that can actually reach out to the firmament and take these pictures. You see, all they can do is, at the end of the day, is take pictures and record things, man. And this is why they sit their nest in the stars, as the scriptures tell you in Obadiah. Okay, because they constantly are watching chariots come in and out. You know, they constantly watching what Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah does in the firmament, does that in the outer space. Okay. And then they'll come and tell you about these different planets and all these different Milky Ways, because they're obsessed with these things, because they know that Israel, the 1/3, is going to be the ones that are going to actually be able to touch these different planets. We're going to actually live on these different planets. Okay. Because we're going to be able to live immortality, man. We're going to live forever. So in order for us to live forever, all right, Shalom, Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shah, Barakatat Malak. All right, so for us to live forever, we're going to need, all right, different planets to live on, because we're going to be fruitful and multiply, all right? And the Lord said that Israel, all right, is innumerable. We're like the sand of the sea. So we're going to be having kids forever and ever and ever. And one Earth, okay, one planet is not going to be able to hold us all. The Lord said that one of our children, all right, shall turn into a nation. Just one. Okay, so go figure that. You see, we're going to have different planets to be able to live on. All right. And the Lord said, it is my good pleasure to give you the kingdom. And this is going to be rewards, a part of the kingdom. Okay. Not only that, you know, us going into these different planets, that's why the scriptures say, in my Father's house there are many mansions. Okay. And that's referring to these different planets, okay, in outer space and things like that. So point is that these devils are going to try to deceive you and make you think that they've gone to Mars, because they're trying to play the role of the Lord, right? They're trying to play God. All right. And they're going to tell you that they done this, they done that. They even tell you today, you know, you got fucking Elon Musk that'll tell your ass that, you know, you can take a trip to Mars. That is bullshit, man. That's what this devil does. Okay. He's a liar. All right. The wicked is estranged from the womb. As soon as he be born, they come out speaking lies. So never trust thine enemy in anything he does or anything he says, man, because he is the father of lies, man. He is the father of it. Okay. So with that being said, let's grab this video. All right. Like I said, I'm going to play about 10 minutes of it, but it's worth it. Okay. Because what they're saying is exactly what, you know, I remember me seeing when I was first, you know, getting lost in the internet, looking up all this Illuminati shit, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, Project Bluebeam always did come up. It was one of those things that they're going to try to deceive a lot of people with. Okay. And, you know, with all this technology that they have, you know, with MK Ultra, you know, they have technology where they're able to use frequencies of technology and make you think like your gods are talking to you, man. Like you can hear voices, and it's really coming from all these different technologies that they have, low frequencies, you know. So let me grab this real quick. All right. This is Revelations. All right, 13 and 15, I believe it is. All right, 14. And it says, I'll take it from 13. It says, and he does great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven and on the earth in the sight of men. All right, going into those nuclear missiles. All right, that atomic bomb. You see, this devil was able to do that. Okay, and that was a wonder at first when it happened. All right, and then it says, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles. You see, he's going to be able to deceive those that are not of the elect. Okay, because those that are not the elect are not meant to have this truth, man. They're not meant to understand the mysteries of the kingdom. All right, but to us is given, you see. So they're going to deceive the 2/3. They're going to deceive the rest of the world, but the elect is not going to be deceived, because it's impossible to deceive the elect. We have Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah on our side, you see, and we have the knowledge of the Lord, and the Lord is the creator of all things. Even when it came down to the knowledge, you see, the knowledge itself was created by Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, you see. So that was the point I wanted on that. And he deceived them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which had power to do in the sight of the BEAST. Okay. Now, let's grab that video. Hold on, let me back up out of here. These niggas in the chat is wilding right now. All right, so this is the video. Let me grab it. 2 seconds. I had it before, but I lost it. All right. So check it.
Your world is not as it seems. Everything you know to be true is a lie. Hidden behind the facade of our everyday lives is a secret and powerful organization with a dangerous agenda to manipulate the minds of the masses and usher in a new world order. They call this program Project Bluebeam. If the program is successful, we won't see it coming. Borders between nations will be dissolved. All religions will be dismantled. And technology will be turned.
Hold on, let me just brighten up the screen. Salakia.
Against us. The architects of Project Bluebeam will distract us with false flag operations like global pandemics, strange weather events, and news reports of UFOs being shot down all over the world. What's frightening is the general population will go along with Project Bluebeam
and you seen that
without resistance.
And you seen that not too long ago. You know, they were showing you, they always try to show you that they shot down this UFO and they got this you know, they got Area 51 and they got hidden, you know, aliens in these places, man. That shit is all lies and bullshit, man, because what they're trying to do is they're just trying to turn you away from the truth, you know, as far as possible away from the truth. Okay, that's why NASA means to deceive, Nasa in Hebrew. All right, that's their job, is to deceive you and make you go farther and farther away from the truth. Okay, to make you believe that there's a bunch of damn aliens out there, man. All right, they're never going to be able to shoot down no true chariot because that's the men of the Lord, man. The angels would just do nothing but play around with these devils, man. Okay, now have they tried to shoot them down? Absolutely, they can never be successful. All right, I've done video productions on things like that. There's a couple of them in my page. You just got to scroll down and look for them. All right, but you know, it shows them trying to shoot down an actual chariot. You know, they got actual raw footage, chariots, you know, coming up to a missile that was shot. I got one that they had shot a missile and a chariot came around the missile and disarmed the missile and then made it turn its course and explode in the air, man. And so at the end of the day, you're not going to be able to do nothing with the true chariots of Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shah because that's a divine power, you see. And that's what makes the pride of their hearts deceive them, man. That they think that they can actually come up against the men of the Lord. It tells you that in Revelations, the 12th chapter, right? The war in heaven, Michael and his angels against Satan and his angels. Okay, that's talking about when Yahushua cracks them clouds and all these different nations and military groups try to turn against the Lord and try to fight against the Lord. But what does it say? They shall not prevail. All right, so it's not even going to be a question about it, man. Are they going to be able to beat them or not? Nah, not at all. The Lord said he's going to destroy America in 1 hour. So if he's going to destroy America in 1 hour, all right, imagine how quick he's going to destroy these damn chariots, man. You see, the wisdom of the wisdom of here is foolishness. Okay, the wisdom of the world is foolishness to the eyes of the Lord Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai. You see, so there's nothing that you can conquer against the Lord's wisdom. You see, these chariots are built in the wisdom of the Lord, man. All right, and he's got his spirits in it at the end of the day. So how are you going to try to conquer against something that created you? You see.
Friday, it's already begun. Serge Benast was a mysterious and controversial figure. Born in Quebec in 1945, he was an investigative journalist who became weary of the direction in which society was headed. He believed that there was a secret cabal of powerful elites who were controlling the world behind the scenes. In other words, the Illuminati.
Oh, really? Did he also believe water's wet, the sky's blue, and NFTs are a scam?
Of course, you believe in the Illuminati.
Is this a tinfoil hat on my head, or am I just happy to see you?
I don't think that's how that saying goes.
How many of these stupid shows have we done?
Well, a little over 100, but I don't think they're stupid. It's
In all this time, you think some of my knowledge and wisdom would rub off on you.
Well, now you're being...
Let me speak slowly so even a human can understand. The Illuminati are real.
Serge Benast was determined to expose these elites, even when his life was in danger. In 1994, he released his...
Just to bring out a precept on that, it tells you that, I'll just quote it real quick. It says in Ephesians 6:10, for we wrestle, 12, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, which is demons, against powers of the darkness, okay, powers of the darkness, and against spiritual wickedness in high places. Okay, so we dealing with a lot of, underground, behind the scenes, behind the curtain, bugged out, worshiping Lucifer. Okay, I mean, not Lucifer, that's what they call it at the end of the day. All right, but worshiping Satan, to get their power on the left hand side, which the Lord allows them to do. You see, that's that spiritual wickedness in high places. They're all about sorceries and philosophy. Okay, and that very well exists to this day. You see, they do, black magic, voodoo behind closed doors. Even our people doing that shit. Because they follow after these heathens. But see, these heathens that rule the world, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. They're definitely doing these things, man, behind closed doors. Okay. And we're in the middle of the winter solstice now. So this is one of the biggest time, all right, where they do a lot of rituals, all right, to gain power. You've heard about them, breaking CERN. Okay. CERN, they were basically just trying to pull out dark matter out of, their technology, by bringing neutrons and electrons and protons and bringing them together and trying to make them clash to, create some type of dark matter. Okay, which that dark matter is just basically going into a whole bunch of, witchcraft and sorceries, man, at the end of the day.
Project Bluebeam, which outlines the plan to create a one world government and a new world order. Project Bluebeam was conceived during the Cold War. The United States and the Soviet Union were spending vast amounts of money and resources on technology to gain the upper hand. No idea was off the table. Now, publicly, the superpowers were building tanks and planes and nuclear weapons. But privately, they were experimenting with mind control and psychic warfare. Obviously, research into mind control wasn't new. The most well-known research is probably the CIA's MK-Ultra program, which began in 1953. But Project Bluebeam is a dramatic step forward. While programs like MK-Ultra use drugs for mind control, Project Bluebeam uses technology. So instead of being run by the CIA, Bluebeam is controlled by NASA under the direction of the United Nations. Project Bluebeam is a four-step plan that uses a combination of advanced technology and psychological manipulation to create an illusion so convincing that no one can distinguish reality from the illusion.
We must remember that the New Age religion is the very foundation for the New World government, without which the dictatorship is completely impossible. That is why the Bluebeam project is so important to them, but has been so well hidden until now.
Replacing every religion on Earth with a new single religion would not be an easy task. In order to succeed, Project Bluebeam would have to create weather events and man-made earthquakes. It would need to replace all the world's currencies with a single electronic currency. It would need to use holograms, augmented reality,
and you see how all that is happening today. You see, so now you're understanding why they're bringing all this to bringing it together. You see, because all roads is going to lead to one thing. All right, it's going to lead to that RFID. Okay.
Intelligence. It would need a way to plant fake news stories and propaganda and distribute those to the masses directly, circumventing all news media and elected officials. When Serge Monast exposed Project Bluebeam, these technologies just didn't exist yet. But now they do. Investigative journalist Serge Monast was convinced that NASA and the United Nations were behind Project Bluebeam, a sinister four-step program to establish a new world order. This would be implemented through advanced mind control and top-secret technology. In the first stage of the project, you'll see a breakdown of all archaeological knowledge. This is done by creating artificial earthquakes. These earthquakes would be at strategically placed locations around the globe.
And that's why the Lord said, measure the time diligently in itself. And when thou see part of the signs pass, you'll know that the Lord was visiting. And was one of the first things he said, earthquakes in diverse places. You will have uproars of the people. The earthquakes in diverse places explains a lot, because most of these, there's certain places where there was always earthquakes being, brought up naturally. But now you're starting to see earthquakes in diverse places because these devils are digging into the ground. They're using certain type of technology to be able to, basically blow things up and make plates shift in the earth. You see, on top of that, they're constantly drilling out oil. You see, you're supposed to give the land a Sabbath, man. The land is supposed to, be toiled and, messed with for 6 years straight. But on that seventh year, for a whole year, you're supposed to give the earth an actual rest. It's called a earth Sabbath. You see, but these devils don't do that. They continually keep, plowing into the ground. They continually keep drilling out oil. So when you're constantly drilling out oil, all right, out of the earth, oil, just like when you put it in a car, oil is to lubricate everything. You see, so when you're taking it out, all right, it's not no longer being lubricated, the earth. So it causes shifts. It causes, for it to dry up. And then that's when these earthquake comes, these earthquakes, these volcanoes erupt, you see? And these are all signs of the end, all right, which is ultimately of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, which is because they're really birth pangs, you see? Just like it tells you in Second Ezra, the 16th chapter, all right, verse 37. All right, as a woman that's in travail for 9 months, she goes through her birth pains. All right, so finally she contracts to the point where she's, in the last 2-3 hours of everything happening. All right, before she delivers that baby, all of a sudden these contractions come up, more and more. Now you're dropping more contractions every couple minutes, every couple seconds. You see, that's the times that we're living in now. All these little things that are happening are just contractions of the earth until we finally get in that part where the earth is going to deliver, you see? And when the earth delivers is when all hell's going to break loose, you see? The earth itself is not going to deliver an actual child, man, but it's going to deliver all hell breaking loose all over the world, you see? Salakia.
At these locations, new discoveries will be made that will show that religions have been misunderstood and misinterpreted for centuries. This would allow.
And the reason he's gonna do that, the reason Esau's gonna do that is because he's trying to hide himself from the world, like he's always done. He tries to cover up history, tries to get rid of history, and ultimately he tries to get rid of his history. You see, that's why he feeds you history, his story. You see, to narrate it in the manner that he wants to. You see, to deceive the masses, because that's what this devil does, man. He's against Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. He's made to deceive. Okay, devil means to be a deceiver. You see, so that's what makes him the devil that the Bible speaks of. Because everything he does, he deceives those that don't know and have understanding. He deceives them. You see, with his philosophies, with his ways. Okay.
Look at the Dead Sea Scrolls. For hundreds of years, the Bible was thought to be complete. Then in 1947, a shepherd finds some clay jars in a cave. Suddenly, there are new religious texts like the Book of Jubilees, the Wisdom of Solomon, and the Book of Tobit. This discovery didn't fundamentally change religion.
And I'm going to tell you right now, those type of books, like you got the Book of Enoch, the Book of Jubilees, you got the Book of Jasper, of Jasher, Salakia. Those are off. Those are going off. Don't ever read those type of books. All right, because those books are not valid. Okay, this is what this devil does. He'll add on to the word. You see, he'll take away from the word. See, the book of Tobit is a true book. The Wisdom of Solomon, those are real books because those are part of the Apocrypha. Always been part of the Apocrypha. You see, you had the Dead Sea Scrolls, but there was only fragments of those things. So there was not enough evidence, for us to to see if it went with the actual scriptures, man. All right, but those other books, they had pretty much brainwashed a lot of people with those different philosophies. You see, the original book is the Old Testament with the Apocrypha, okay, and the New Testament, all right, which they basically have taken out the Apocrypha, which is 14 books that were missing. All right, there were 66 books, and with those 14 books, it makes it 80. All right, so you have to make sure that you have the Apocrypha. The word Apocrypha in Greek means sent away hidden. It was sent away hidden for a reason, man, because the history that's in it, it goes, it correlates with secular history. And then you have a lot of wisdom there, you see. And look, you have chapters like 2nd Ezra 15 that we're living in those days today. You see, this is why they had to take those type of books away, okay, which was taken away by the Bible Destruction Group.
Cause scholars to think, what else are we missing? Project Bluebeam capitalizes on that kind of doubt. It's designed to cause a crisis of faith for every Jew, Christian, Muslim, and Buddhist. People in crisis will be more likely to accept the New Age religion. As for earthquakes, these can be artificially created by mining or fracking in the right location. There's also research being done on creating earthquakes with sound waves. This is called induced seismicity. And the frequency and severity of earthquakes has been increasing over the past 20 years. Phase 2 of Project Bluebeam is what Manasseh called Space Show. 3D holographic images and sounds will be projected from a network of satellites. These satellites will use lasers to project images down to Earth. These images will be designed to seduce people into believing in a new God. Holograms and augmented reality is getting better and better every year.
This video surfaced out of China, and it looks like their city is floating in the clouds. Of course, we can't verify if the video is real or not, but we have seen things like this before.
The image seen and language heard will be different in different parts of the world, according to what religion is most dominant in the area. Then all the different deities from all the world's religions will merge into one.
Then the projections of Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, and Krishna will merge into one, and explanations of mysteries and revelations will be disclosed. This one God will, in fact, be the Antichrist, who will explain that the various scriptures have been misunderstood and misinterpreted, and that the religions of old are responsible for turning brother against brother and nation against nation.
Which there's no such thing as just one Antichrist, man. All right, scriptures say that there are many anti-Hamashiachs. Anti meaning against, all right, against, and then Hamashiach being anointed. So you're against the anointed, all right. Anybody that's against Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai is considered an antichrist, okay. So don't let them fool you, you know, trying to tell you that it's gonna be this baby born, you know, he from fallen angels, and he's gonna come and raise up, and he's gonna end up really being the devil, and that's a whole nonsense, man. All right, scripture says there are many anti-Hamashiachs. All these Illuminati members are anti-Hamashiach. Okay, all these 13 bloodlines of the elites. Okay, every single one of them is devils that are against the word of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh. They are contrary onto the doctrine. Okay.
Or old religions must be abolished to make way for the new age, new world religion, representing the one God Antichrist they see before them.
Now, earthquakes and religious artifacts will be enough to convert some people to religion. Giant deities appearing and then converging into one Antichrist will convert a lot more people. But these technologies won't work on everybody. Non-religious people will be terrified, sure, but they won't suddenly believe in God based on a hologram, no matter how real it looks. To get the entire planet to adopt a new religion and a one-world government, people need to come to this decision themselves. If seeing a hologram of the message isn't enough, Project Bluebeam will broadcast the message directly into our brains. And that technology is available everywhere in the world right now.
And they have that type of technology where they have, if you ever seen the movie Rampage, it shows you in that movie. All right, Rampage is with The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. All right, and it has basically those three animals that were little animals, and then they were turned into, you know, gigantic animals through science. But the point that I want in that movie, if you haven't seen it, what they do is toward the end is where they had, I forgot the white chick's name, but she basically went on top of the building, and she was able to turn on the button and turn the power on to, I believe it was like a big electronic rod, almost like a lightning rod that they put on top of the buildings. And it was really not made for lightning. It was made to give frequency. And the moment she turned it on, she had all the animals basically come towards that building, you see? So it was showing you that through low frequency, okay, they're able to control you with, you know, make you feel like something speaking to you, like something your God, like he's gonna say next. It makes you feel like your God is actually speaking to you in your mind, and they're gonna believe it in their own hearts. See, this is why we need Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, man. Because if you don't have this truth, you'll be fooled. You see? So that technology already exists. You know, they're doing it already. They've already remember, man. This is why Jake always go missing. You know, because when they go missing, they'll use them in their little procedures that they do behind closed doors, man. And they pretty much use them as test tube babies, man. They'll use them as a bunch of guinea pigs to see how they react to certain things, you know. And that's what MK Ultra really kind of goes into also. The only difference is that MK Ultra is fed with, they'll feed you with drugs, you see, and make you bug out. They'll give you a lot of hallucinated drugs to make you bug out. And then with the sound waves, they're able to control your mind, you see. But you know, with the technology they have now, they don't have to even feed you that drug. You know, what did they feed you not too long ago in 2020? Man, they fed you that yo jabba jabba, you see. And a lot of people that had that yo jabba jabba, was going to happen is, which that's already alternating their DNA. All right. When the time comes that they turn on the high frequencies, these 6G towers and things like that, is going to make them bug out. You know, I forgot what other movie is, a zombie movie. It might be the one with Brad Pitt, World War Z, I believe it is, where he also had he went to a tower and turned on the tower, and all the zombies started going towards the frequency of the tower. You see? So remember, this devil shows you through his movie, through his predictive programming, that these things exist, and they have them already, man. They just haven't brought them out, you know, because it ain't that time yet. You know, the Lord is going to let them bring that out when the Lord pretty much put the spirit on them to do it. Okay. Got about 3 minutes left, about 4 minutes left.
Now we can see a new world coming into view. A world in which there is the very real prospect of a new world order. We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order. The goal of Project Bluebeam is to get the entire planet to adopt a single religion and then a single government. And this will happen in 4 steps. Step 1 is to use artificial earthquakes and archaeological discoveries to discredit existing religions. Step 2 is through holograms, augmented reality, and AI to make people believe that a new God has arrived to replace all existing gods. Step 3 is mind control using microwaves. Whoa, so they put secret messages in popcorn and frozen dinners? No, not microwave ovens. Microwaves are small radio waves. These electromagnetic waves are all around us all the time. They're in the air, they move through our homes, through our bodies, through everything. All cell phones use microwaves. The frequencies are typically between 800 and 2200 megahertz. 5G operates between 28 and 39 gigahertz. Don't have a cell phone? Doesn't matter. Baby monitors, garage door openers, Bluetooth devices, the Wi-Fi in your home all use radio waves. RFID tags, wireless earbuds, remote control toys, MRI machines, and yes, even microwave ovens. We are constantly swimming in electromagnetic radiation. There's no way to escape it. How much protection from a tinfoil hat? Not nearly enough. 2 tinfoil hats? Please, can I? Step 3 of Project Bluebeam seizes control of the full EM spectrum and uses it to control our very thoughts.
The third step in the Bluebeam project uses electronically augmented two-way communication, where ELF, VLF, and LF waves will reach each person from within his or her own mind, convincing each of them that their own God is speaking to them from the very depths of their own soul. Such rays from satellites are fed from the memories of computers that have stored massive data about every human on Earth and their languages. The rays will then interlace with their natural thinking to form what we call diffuse artificial thought. That kind of technology goes into the 1970s, 1980s, and 1990s research where the human brain has been compared to a computer. Information is fed in, processed, integrated, and then a response is...
See, and that's why all roads is going to lead to one thing, that MOTB, that RFID, all right? Because like we've always said, man, our bodies is just like a Wi-Fi itself. So we're going to no longer need none of these computers, you know, none of this technology, because we're going to become the technology itself, you know, through transhumanism, which this is why the Lord going to lift up a standard against this devil, because he's doing too much. You see, he's trying to play the role of the Lord, man, and playing around with all this different technology and science. That's what this devil's about. He's about pseudoscience, man. All right. And he's just been doing forever. All right. He's just been constantly making a diligent search upon Jake you know, and using them as you know, guinea pigs to test his theories, man. Right, his educated guesses. Okay, wicked.
Formulated and acted upon.
We already have technology like Neuralink where the mind can control a machine. Project Bluebeam lets a machine control the mind. Step 4 is the most insidious of all. It describes how Project Bluebeam will create a fake disaster or crisis that will bring the world together.
And that's heavy that he said that, because see, that's why we're not going to need no more technology, because all you're going to have to just picture just one person behind the almost like the movie The Matrix. When you look at the movie The Matrix, you had the guy that was running everything behind closed doors. It was the one guy that was in the one room with all the little TVs around him. You know, he was basically the one that was controlling the computer. You see, so we're no longer going to need computers. We're all going to be connected to the system. The system is going to be connected to that Project Bluebeam, and you can just picture one person himself just controlling it all. You see, whoever that will be at that time, but we wouldn't get that far because the Lord going to lift up that standard. You see, but again, it's crazy because the Project Bluebeam is going to pretty much be the domain. All right, so for every computer that you have. All right, there's always a domain, a main domain somewhere where everything is coming from. You know, an example today with all the computer stuff that we have and computers we have, the main domain will be out there in, I believe it's in Sweden. Okay, I forgot exactly where it's at, but it's building 666. Okay, I did a video on that a couple weeks back. All right, and there's actually another one that I just found out about, and I got to bring a video out on that. That there's one in New York right now, and there's a bunch of in all the major cities in America. Actually, they have this system now where it's just one big building, no windows in the building, okay, but it's just full of all different types of computer domains, man. That's just every type of data that's going through each and one of our phones is actually being sent to that main building, okay, to the point where we're not going to need that building no more, because this Project Bluebeam is going to be the main domain in the outer space, in the firmament. You see, now this is how they're going to be able to control your thoughts, you know, make you do things that you don't want to do, basically hack you, you know, through Project Bluebeam. You see, crazy.
But not through hope or through peace. The world will come together through fear. This event together, but not through control the mind.
Was formulated and acted upon.
We already have technology like Neuralink where the mind can control a machine. Project Bluebeam lets a machine control the mind. Step 4 is the most insidious of all. It describes how Project Bluebeam will create a fake disaster or crisis that will bring the world together, but not through hope or through peace. The world will come together through fear. This event will be so frightening that people will no longer care about their religion or their national or cultural identity. They'll be so scared that they won't resist the one world government. They'll beg for it. Manas gave a specific example of what Project Bluebeam would use to terrify the world, and it may already be happening. Project Bluebeam would stage a fake invasion of UFOs.
You see, and that's where they had, I'm telling you, they had that Illuminati card, and it was called the Final Deception, and it ended up being changed for a reason. You see, because of reasons like this, you know, because the elect are gonna end up putting the pieces together at the end of the day. You know, so best believe they're gonna do a fake invasion, a final deception, and try to make us believe that aliens is taking over. You know, they're gonna merge these gods together, you know, and they're gonna try to brainwash you, man. And again, this is why it tells you in Matthew 24:24, if it was possible to deceive the very elect, man, they're not gonna be able to deceive the elect, because we have the wisdom of Yahweh Shai, which created all these things, you see, and spoke of these things, you know.
This morning, questions after more unidentified objects are discovered over U.S. and Canadian airspace.
Dramatic new details about the unidentified object shot down by fighter jets.
They didn't have propulsion. They weren't being maneuvered. It was basically they're being driven by the wind.
Unidentified object shot down by U.S. fighter jets over the weekend. 3 objects over 3 days.
can't work out exactly how they fly, and they won't rule out the fact that they might even be extraterrestrial.
For the third time in as many days, the US had spotted and shot down an unidentified object. What is going on here with what seemed like a deluge of potential incursions? What are these objects? Where are they coming from? What is their purpose?
We'll leave it at that. Just like I said, as I said, this is a 30-minute video, so I played 11:15 out of it. If you want to know what that video is, let me see. Actually, might not even have the title of it because I like to download my shit because they usually take things. Oh, it's called "Are All These UFOs an Alien Invasion, or Has Project Bluebeam Finally Begun?" That's the name that you put in YouTube. Are all these UFOs an alien invasion, or has Project Bluebeam finally begun? All right, so if you want to watch that video, it's an older video. You know, I just had it in my phone for quite some time, and I just realized I still had it in my phone. So that's why I did a video on it. All right, but you could watch the rest of it. It's very interesting. Maybe I'll do a part 2 from where it's left off right now. But I didn't want to play that whole entire 30 minutes.
He called
okay,
a universal
but let's grab these
supernatural
scriptures and pretty much close out. All right, let me grab Wisdom of Solomon 5. All right, now that you know, at the end of the day, none of this is actual alien invasion. And these are the chariots of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. This is the curse that goes before the whole entire earth. Okay, and this is why you see the Lord revealing himself through these chariots, showing his power, because that's the glory that the Lord is going to come in, man. All right, the Lord is literally going to come back on a chariot. As a matter of fact, let me grab that one first. This is Acts. I believe that was in the 2nd chapter, Acts. Give me 1 second. Where's it at? Hold on, Slaki. I know it's an Acts. Yeah. This is Acts 1:1, and it says, because they were looking at the sky. All right. This is Acts 1:11, and it says, which also said, ye men of Galilee, why stand ye gazing up into heaven? This same Yahushua, which is taken up from you into heaven, shall so come in like manner as ye have seen him go into heaven. All right, because they had watched him go up, be taken by a cloud. Okay, and that cloud was a representation, all right, of a so-called UFO, which is a chariot of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. You see, so Yahushai ended up going in a chariot. Okay, and that was basically letting you know that that's exactly how the Lord is going to come back in these last days. Okay, as a matter of fact, in Matthew, all right, it tells you that. All right, this is Matthew. Matthew 24 and where is it at? 27, and it says, for as the lightning cometh out of the east and shineth even unto the west, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. Okay, so just how you see the sun rise from the east and come back down to the west, that's exactly how the Lord is going to come back in these last days. It says, for whosoever the carcass is, all right, there will the eagles be gathered together. Okay, immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of heaven shall be shaken. All right, through the what? Through the missiles. Then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. All right, the Lord is not going to actually come back on clouds, man. All right, clouds, you go through a cloud if you was to jump on a cloud, so it wouldn't make sense. It's a metaphoric thing. All right, when you go into Psalms, all right, 103, want to say 104, all right, in verse 3, it tells you, who layeth the beams of his chambers in the waters, who maketh the clouds his chariot, who walketh upon the wings of the wind. You see, so the Lord refers to his chariots as clouds. All right, he also refers to them as mountains. Okay, you have pillars of fire, you know, pillars of smoke. Okay, the Lord has different ways to explain, all right, that he's coming back on the chariot. As a matter of fact, let's grab Isaiah 63, and it says, who is this that cometh from Edom with dyed garments from Basra? This that is glorious in his apparel, traveling in the greatness of his strength. Okay, and what's the greatness of his strength? Okay, them chariots. All right, let's go back to Wisdom of Solomon. All right, this is Wisdom of Solomon 5. All right, Wisdom of Solomon 5 and 1, and it says, then shall, let me turn on my car. Then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness before the face of such as have afflicted him and made no account of his labors. All right, and the righteous man being the prophets. Okay, standing in great boldness in the face of the workers of iniquity, man. You see, because the Lord said, who shall stand up against the evildoers? Who shall stand up against the workers of iniquity? All right, it's going to be the men of the Lord with this truth. You see, it says, it's like here. It says, when they see it, they shall be troubled with terrible fear. Yeah, the earth is going to be shaken up. You see, every eye shall see Yahweh shall crack them clouds, man. Even those that pierced them, it says, okay, coming in the greatness of his strength. So it's going to be a terrible thing for the earth. All right, those that were wicked, but to the elect is going to be a beautiful day. All right, because we know that that's going to be our actual salvation, man. All right, as a matter of fact, let me grab this. This is Luke 21 and 28, and it says, and when these things begin to come to pass, then look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption draweth nigh. Okay, so we're constantly supposed to be in the spirit of looking up, man. And you'll see chariots on a daily basis. If you go outside, man, go in open fields, man, you'll see the Lord reveal chariots in the skies, man, because they're constantly watching. You see, the eyes of the Lord is upon the sinful kingdom, beholding the good and the evil. All right, and the eyes of the Lord is these chariots, these angels. You see, so you know you're supposed to be in the spirit of constantly watching, looking up. You know, but most of this world is what? Always looking down at their phones in a whole vibration of just a zombie vibration, man. Just stuck on their phone looking at dumb shit, you see, when you should constantly be looking up. Okay, so going back to Wisdom of Solomon 5 and 2, when they see it, they shall be troubled with terrible fear and shall be amazed at the strangeness of his salvation, of the elect salvation, you see. Because when they see us being beamed up into them chariots, man, they're gonna go crazy. they're gonna wish that we were going up in the chariots with them. Because when we're getting beamed up into the chariots, right, it's gonna be at the same time that these missiles are gonna be coming and dropping, getting ready to hit America. You see, because when we get beamed up into them chariots, we're gonna actually be seeing America be destroyed from the windows of the chariot, man. Which is, you know, most likely is gonna be one big chariot. Because the scriptures talk about that in 2nd Ezra, the 13th chapter, which I'll grab that in a second. All right, and that it was a big chariot that covered the region. You see, it was a mountain that covered the region, and they show you that in Independence Day. Okay, so you know, and then it speaks about how, you know, we were able to see through a sea of glass. All right, that's basically a representation of the chariots having windows and us looking down and seeing Babylon the Great being destroyed. All right, it says, and they shall be amazed at the strangeness of his salvation, of the elect salvation, so far beyond all that they have looked for. And they repenting and groaning for anguish of spirit. Yeah, that's what they're going to be trying to do. They're going to be trying to repent. They're going to be, you know, groaning with anguish of spirit, of the spirit, you know, basically, you know, hurt can't believe in it. You know, oh my God, what's going on? That's what they're gonna be doing in those days, man. While we're getting beamed up. Okay. It says, saying to themselves, this was he whom we had sometimes in derision, and a proverb of reproach. We fools account to his life madness and his end to be without honor. Yeah, because they've been scoffing this whole entire time. All these people have been scoffing and laughing at us, just like in the time of Noah, all right, when Noah was building that ark, okay, for 120 years and prophesying for 120 years. All they did was laugh and scoff, laugh and scorn. Here it is. We're doing it in half of the time that Noah did it in. Okay, and we're building our spiritual ark. All right, and why we're doing it in half of the time? Because the Lord said for the elect's sake, he was going to shorten the days. All right, so he did it in, he did it in 120 years, right? And we're about 60 to 70 years, man, of preaching his word. When you break it down, this truth came out in the late 1960s, around 68, 69. All right, let's just round it up to 70 to 2000. That's 30 years to 25. That's another, that's 55 years, man. Close to 60 years right there. So we're doing it in half of the time that Noah did it in, man. You see? So imagine, okay? So going back, it says, and they repented and groaning for anguish of spirit, say within themselves, this was he who we had sometimes in derision, and a proverb of reproach. We fools account to his life madness and his end to be without honor. How is he numbered among the children of Yahweh, and his lot is among the saints? Therefore, we have erred from the way of truth, and the light of righteousness has not shined onto us. You see, because they never had Yahweh Shai. Okay, it tells you that in let's grab that real quick. Okay, the light never shined upon them because the Lord didn't shine it upon them. All right, when you go into 2 Corinthians, I think it's the 4th chapter. Yeah, it says, I'll take it from 3. It says, but if the gospel be hid, it is hid to them that are lost, in whom this world, which is Esau, has blinded the minds of them which believe not. All right, and how he going to deceive and blind them? One of the ways is going to be through this Project Blue Beam. Another way is through all these different philosophies. You see, he had these niggas thinking that there was green little aliens from Mars, man. It says, has blinded the minds of them which believe not, lest the light of the glorious gospel of Hamashiach, who is the image of Yahweh, should shine onto them. For we preach not ourselves, but Yahweh Shai Hamashiach, and ourselves your servants for Yahweh Shai's sake. Point. For Yahweh, who has commanded the light to shine out of darkness, has shined in our hearts, meaning our minds, to give the light of the knowledge of the glory of Yahweh in the face of Yahweh Shai HaMashiach. You see, so the Lord has shined that light upon our faces, but upon their faces he didn't. That's why they saying this. Okay, back to Wisdom of Solomon 4:5-4. It says, we fools account to his life madness and his end to be without honor. How is he numbered among the children of Yahweh, and his lot among the saints? Therefore, we have erred from the way of truth, and the light of righteousness has not shined onto us, and the sun of righteousness rose not upon us. We wearied ourselves in the way of wickedness. Yeah, constantly here was that you just, when you're weary, that means you're tired. you tired yourself out, scoffing and mocking the prophets of the Lord so much to the point that, look, you were never able to receive the knowledge of the Lord, man. You weren't able to believe because you were so worried about wearing yourself out, worrying about being a whole damn demon and talking about things that were non-believable, that you didn't believe in the Lord. The Lord said, seeing that these things will come to pass, right? He said, what manner of person ought ye to be in all holy conversation and in holiness, right? And godliness. Okay, so that was your job, knowing that this place was going to be destroyed at one point, because the signs is right in front of your face, right? The sign, as the scripture said, that as there's a beginning, there's an end, and the end is manifest. So it was made clear to you that we're at the end. Okay, with everything that's happened around you, there is no excuse for somebody to say, yeah, we're not at the end. If you're saying things like that we're not at the end, is because you're going to be destroyed out here with it. You see? You are one of the problems, all right, of why the society is just brainwashed, because doubt is like a disease, man. Doubt is like a cancer. Okay, it spreads. So one person's doubt becomes a 100 million other people's doubt. You see? But faith shall flourish in those last days. And what does the scripture say? All you need is a grain of a mustard seed, right? To move a mountain. So just as much as an ounce of doubt can spread as a cancer amongst these people, you know, the faith of one is going to make others believe also. You know, it just comes out to play that the Lord has a certain number that's only going to make it a remnant, a small remnant, because that's how the Lord played it out. That's how the Lord wrote it in the book. You see, so the small remnant is going to bow down to Baal. You see, they're going to constantly believe all the way to the end. They're going to strive for the truth until death. They're going to endure unto the end, and those that endure to the end, the same shall be saved. You see, so it says, therefore we have erred from the way of truth, and the light of righteousness has not shined onto us, and the sun of righteousness rose not up upon us. We wearied ourselves in the way of wickedness and destruction. Yeah, we have gone through deserts where there lay no way. But as for the way of the Lord Yahushua, we have not known it. You see, and because they did that, right? They load the law. All right. What has to happen? Death. They have to come. They have to meet that second death. Okay. And they have to be retaught, basically. Okay. And they're going to wake up in the kingdom of shame. All right. And they're going to have to come through the loins of the elect, those that believe, because the loins of the ones that are the elect. All right. Their minds are going to be sealed with the law, statutes, and commandments in their inward parts. So now they're not going to no longer have vain children. You see, as the scriptures say, let the multitude perish that are born in vain. They're born in vain because they don't have the knowledge. When they're not born through two parents that actually have the name of the Lord, man. You see, they're just born through a bunch of demons. So they become vain children. But when the Lord puts the law, statutes, and commandments in the inward parts of the elect, they can have as many babies as they want, because they're all going to come out in righteousness. You see, it's just the fact that the Lord's going to have you walk around with your head down for a little bit, man, because you didn't learn on this side. You see, but you're going to learn in that day. And then eventually you'll be all right. All right. And you're going to live forever anyway, you know, and you'll go back to your normal self, you know. But continuing on, it says, we have wearied ourselves in the way of wickedness and destruction. Yeah, we have gone through deserts where there lay no way. Yeah, because it was dry. A desert is dry. You see, you were supposed to be in a place where there was waters. Okay, the rivers of living waters around you. You see, that desert. If you were in a desert that was by water, okay, you would be a balanced person, because you'll be able to grow. That desert would turn into a wetland, basically. You see, but because you didn't believe, you stayed by a desert, man, where it was dry and there was no waters. Okay, no rivers of living water. It says where they lay no way. But as for the way of the Lord Yahushua, we have not known it. What has pride profited us? Yeah, pride come before destruction. That's all that pride basically gave you, man. Destruction. You know, and the Lord hates those that walk in pride, because pride is when one departs from his maker. Pride is hated before Yahweh and man, you see. And that's why the Lord said, many great miseries shall be done to them in the latter days that have walked in great pride. Okay. The one thing that the Lord hates the most is pride, because that's why he hates Esau. Okay. Because the pride of his heart has deceived him. You see. And then he puts you in that same strong delusion, just like Esau's in right now, thinking that his inward thought is that his house is going to continue forever, man. That's hella pride right there. You see? And that's why he's going to be destroyed, eradicated off the face of the earth, never to be heard of again. The Lord hates him so much that he actually going to make that, you know how they talk about the dinosaurs are extinct, okay? Which they're not, all right? The Lord has them in certain places preserved. Okay, because if he doesn't have them preserved, Esau will take them, kill them all. You see? Now, have there been some that died? Yeah, and left fossils, and yeah, absolutely, to show you that those things existed, but they have not altogether been extinct, man. The Lord has them, saved in certain places, man. Okay, but the fact that the Lord's gonna actually make you extinct is hey, man, that's wild work right there. Eradicate a whole entire race. Okay, so it says, we have gone through deserts where there lay no way, but as for the way of the Lord Yahweh Shai, we have not known it. What has pride profited us, or what has riches with our vaunting brought us? Nothing, because riches profit not in the day of wrath at the end of the day. You see? So you could save all the money you want, and you could try to be the richest man, have all the gold you want, all that shit's gonna come to naught, man. You see? It says all those things are passed away like a shadow. All right, yeah, the lust of the flesh, all right, the lust of the eyes. Okay, everything here is going to disintegrate, man. None of these things that you see on this side is going to be brought to the kingdom ever again. Okay, no money. All right, none of these buildings are going to be rebuilt in the kingdom. You're not going to see these technologies in the kingdom. You ain't going to have no PlayStation 5s and 6s out there. You ain't gonna have cars running around in the kingdom. Okay, you ain't gonna have these houses built that are mansions out here, built, $5.4 million homes and shit. None of that shit is gonna be in the kingdom, man. Everything's gonna be resetted, and it's gonna go back to how it used to be. The Garden of Eden times 144. You see, it's gonna be more beautiful than it's ever been. Okay, as a matter of fact, real quick, I'll grab that real quick. This is 2nd Ezra 8 and 51, and it says 52. It says, but as a matter of fact, 51, but understand thou for thyself and seek out the glory for such as be like thee. Okay, so we're supposed to set our affections on the things above, for unto you is paradise opened, the tree of life is planted, the time to come is prepared, plentiness is made ready, a city is builded, and rest is allowed. Yeah, perfect goodness and wisdom. The root of evil is sealed up from you. Weakness and moth is hid from you, and corruption is fled in hell to be forgotten. Sorrows are past, and in the end is showed the treasure of immortality. You see? And that's what we strive for, man. All right, immortality. Ain't nothing better than that. You see? We're going to be able to live forever. We seek that kingdom. We seek true rest. All right, so going back to Wisdom of Solomon 5, and where was I? 8. What has pride profited us, and what good has riches with our vaunting brought us? All those things are passed away like a shadow, and as a post that hasted by, and as a ship that passeth over the waves of the water, which when it is gone by, the trace thereof cannot be found, neither the pathway of the killie in the waves. Or as when a bird has flown through the air, there is no token of her way to be found, but the light air being beaten with the stroke of her wings, and parted with the violent noise and motion of them, is passed through, and therein afterwards no sign where she went is to be found. Or like as when an arrow is shot at a mark, it parteth the air, which immediately cometh together again, and so that a man cannot know where it went through. Even so we in like manner, as soon as we were born, began to draw to our end, and had no sign of virtue to show, but were consumed in our own wickedness. For the hope of the ungodly is like the dust that is blown away with the wind, like a thin frost that is driven away with the storm, like as the smoke which is dispersed here and there with a tempest, and passeth away as the remembrance of a guest that tarrieth but a day. Yeah, that's how fast everything's just gonna disappear. You see? Literally, everything's just gonna disintegrate, gone, never to be remembered again. Okay? So what are you supposed to be in all holy conversation? That's the manner that you're supposed to be in all holy conversation, man. So you can be worthy to escape these things, because as fast as they're going to be gone out the picture, right, is as fast as we're going to be gone into them chariots. You see, we're just going to disperse right into those chariots, being ascended up into those chariots. And hey, in a twinkle of an eye, the scriptures say what? That our vile bodies shall be changed. You see, changed into those glorious bodies of Yahweh Shai. Okay. So it says, but the righteous live forevermore. Their reward also is with the Lord Yahweh Shai, and the care of them is with the Most High Yahweh. Therefore shall they receive a glorious kingdom and a beautiful crown from the Lord's hand. For with his right hand shall he cover them, and with his arm shall he protect them. He shall take to him his jealousy for complete armor, and make the creature his weapon for the revenge of his enemies. As a matter of fact, I should have ended it up on that 16. Okay, because now it's going into us being, you know, turned. We're going to be able to be used with spiritual power, man. The Lord's going to use us creatures as spiritual power, you see, to be able to, you know, come back down and you know, be those fishes that are turned into hunters. Okay. But at the end of the day, all right, let's read this last part again and end it there. Therefore shall they receive a glorious kingdom and a beautiful crown from the Lord Yahweh Shai's hand. For with his right hand shall he cover them, and with his arm shall he protect them. You see, as a matter of fact, Psalms 91. All right, and that'll be it. And this is Psalms 91. Oops, it's lucky. Psalms 91. Is it 91 or is it 93? Yeah, this is 91:1. It says, he that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. Okay, going into those chariots, man. This is why, you know, a prudent man foreseeth the evil and he hides himself. Okay, so it says, he that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord Yahweh, he is my refuge and my fortress, my power, in him will I trust. You see, surely he shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler and from the noisome pestilence. He shall cover thee with his feathers, and under his wings shalt thou trust. His truth shall be thy shield and buckler. You see, going into us being beamed up into them chariots, man. You see, so that's going to be the strangeness of our salvation. Don't let these devils fool you, all right, with all this bullshit technology and all these different philosophies, okay? We know what we worship in, all right? And salvation is for the Jews, man, for the true believers, all right? Scriptures say that we're in the last hour, all right? Let me grab that. When the true worshipers, KJV, when the true worshipers, KJV, shippers. Yeah, this is John 4:23, and it says, but the hour cometh and now is when the true worshipers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth, for the Father seeketh such to worship him. You see? So the Lord is looking for those that truly believe, and those that truly believe, we're going to get up out of here in them chariots, man. All right. So, hey, Lord willing that you were satisfied and edified with that. With that being said, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Call Haloyim La Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachak Wadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect that scattered abroad. The Akim and the Akwat that was listening in. Yahweh Ratazah, Lord willing that the lesson was edifying. To the next one, Shalom. Keep fighting the good fight of faith and doing as good soldiers of Yahweh Shai. Shalom. And Lord willing, it was on point, because sometimes I've been realizing that my lately Esau been making my shit late. Like I'm already done with my video, and then I realize people are still on there on the videos. Like, as my wife would be telling me that. So hopefully it was all, you know, right on point. I don't know what he's doing that it comes out late or stops late, whatever. So, hey, Shalom, keep fighting the good fight of faith. Shalom, Shalom.